Yes, and we are learning Le'ilu Nishmas Faivel Ben Yaakov. Chaim Rochel. Okay, we're all here. Good morning, good morning, good morning.
How are you?
And mute Devorah.
Okay, yeah, we should start?
Yeah.
Start learning. Okay. Good. We're going to talk a little bit about Lag Bomer. Morning, Katie. We're going to talk about the big Yontif that's coming up tonight that everyone's getting all excited about. And wherever you are, you can feel the light of Reb Shimon Bar Yochai. Even just saying his name has a huge amount of power, spiritual power. Certainly lighting a candle for him. We're going to learn how to light that candle in a moment. It's not lighting a candle. It's a whole ceremony that we're going to do, and that will attach us to the soul of Rebbe Shimon Bar Yochai. Okay, so first we're going to remember who this Rav was. Rebbe Shimon Bar Yochai was a student of Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva was Mashiach ben Yosef. Was Mashiach, was a level of Mashiach, and you know that all the levels of Mashiach have to come in a very unusual way. David HaMelech and all of the stories, Moshe Rabbeinu, David HaMelech, Yosef Tzaddik, Rabbi Akiva, every one of them had an unusual story. He wasn't, a cookie cutter, yeshiva bacher from the, a meyuchastika family, from a fancy family. Every one of those, every one of the characters that is connected to fixing the world has to be on a certain level. Hashem made a situation where he sneaks their soul into the world, so to speak. And of course, Hashem doesn't have to do anything, but the way the master of the world has created his system, and the system that he himself abides by, is that he wanted to balance the forces of good and evil. So when he brings in a gigantic force of good, he has to somehow confuse or get the approval of, so to speak, his Bezdin Shalmala of evil. And so nobody would have ever expected that Rabbi Akiva, who was the son of converts, he came from a family of converts, no one would have ever expected him, who had such a big distaste for Talmidei Chachamim in his youth. He's like a typical kid who went off the derech, meaning he was angry. He was angry at his own lack of family ties. He was upset at his own, apparently it looks like that. And he therefore said that when he was in his youth, he said, if I ever come across a Talmid Chacham, I would bite him because I'm so angry at the Talmidei Chacham. It's a very, very deep thing about what he said. But the bottom line is that at that point in his life, nobody, except for one human being in planet Earth, was able to see through the exterior of Rabbi Akiva and see his soul. And she was his wife, Rochel, and she was the one who supported him and encouraged him and created him and made him to the man that he should be. And so kudos to all those women who have to do that in their lives, who have to see through all of the external mess and the confusion and the things that don't appear to be real. And they see through that to the soul of all the people that they're connected to, and they encourage them and encourage them and encourage them. Today came to the Rav a descendant of a very big Rosh Hashiva. I'm not going to say who. They said it on the every day that now there's somebody who repeats in Hebrew the all the different things that happen in shul every morning. And so the one who repeated it said, this is a boy who is now, I forgot how old they said he was, maybe he's 16. He is a boy who comes from a very, very, very famous family in the yeshiva world, and he went off the derech big time. And then he came back, and he came to the Rav, and he said to the Rav, you tell me what to do. Whatever you say to do, I'm going to do. And then he gave the Rav a petek, a note of all of the different Kabbalah, all the different things that he's been trying to improve on, because I guess he did stuff that wasn't that he wasn't proud of. That part I'm not aware of, but the details of. But the Rav, first of all, made everybody clap hands in the shul and say, look at this as a boy who's working to overpower, his huge Yetzer Hara and come back at the expense, and also, the embarrassment that he's gone through of, being from a very famous family and, deciding to, have to find his own way. And then the boy's father was there. And the boy's father, the Rav said to him, you know why your son came back? Because you loved him. Because you loved him, you accepted him, you didn't criticize him, you didn't push him away. And that's the derech of the Rav, not to push anybody away and to just have patience. It's superhuman. You need superhuman patience. You need angelic patience to balance that. But keeping the child in a place where the child knows that you love them still. And that's what the Rav said to the father. So the Reb Shimon Bar Yochai's Rebbe was Rabbi Akiva, who started out like that. And then, of course, because he married Rochel, he married his wife, and he attributed all of his success to her, all of it. And she suffered a lot, really a lot, but she was patient, and Baruch Hashem, he was able to show her his appreciation publicly. So Rabbi Akiva, he knew all the secrets of Moshe Rabbeinu. He actually all of these was tzaddikim who had the power of the soul of Moshe Rabbeinu, and to different degrees. The Torah tells us that every single Jew has a little bit of Moshe Rabbeinu in us. Me and you, we each have a little bit of Moshe Rabbeinu, number one. Number two, we each have a little bit of Mashiach in us. And to greater or lesser degrees. And that's why we'll be able to listen to Mashiach Tzidkenu when he comes, because part of us will relate to him and say, oh yeah, I recognize something about him. I can't exactly explain what, but I recognize something about him. And that what you recognize about Mashiach is the part that's inside of you. And so Rabbi Akiva received the entire Kabbalah. And, the Chazal tell us that the Sefer HaYetzirah, which we have right now, which is, by the way, translated into English, but it's like a very mysterious book about Aryeh Kaplan Zatzal, translated into English for us, and but it's it's a code. The whole thing is in code. That was written by Avram Avinu from the teachings that Shem ben Noach taught him. The son of Noach, who's called Shem, was our ancestor. Shem is Semites, and he taught Avram Avinu. He taught his grandson Aver, and they both taught Avram Avinu the entire Torah of the Kabbalah, of the system of how Hashem makes the world run. We don't understand that system, but that's what the system is called, Kabbalah. And that book was handed down, and eventually it came to Rabbi Akiva, who edited it and put it into the form that we have today. Rabbi Akiva taught his primary student, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai became the receiver of the Kabbalah, of the mystical understanding of how God runs the universe, including how God runs your soul and my soul, and why your soul has to go through what you're going through, and my soul has to go through what I'm going through, etc., etc. And Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai put that all into code even more, and he wrote the Sefer HaZohar. The Sefer HaZohar is divided into several sections. The part that you're probably most familiar with is the part that's just a perush on the whole Chumash, or telling us the midrashim of the Chumash. And then the Sefer HaZohar has another part which talks about all of the Kabbalistic intentions and mechanisms and workings of the higher, how Hashem runs the world. How is Hashem running the world? That's in the Sefer HaZohar. And you have to only learn that from someone who's learned it, from someone who learns it, from a tzaddik, back. You can't pick up an internet. Don't look at the Zohar on the internet. First of all, it's going to confuse you in many different ways. There are many different ways that the Zohar confuses people, but also it's not real. It's fake news. So in the Zohar, we have many different understandings of how Reb Shimon Bar Yochai wrote the Zohar and how he taught it to his son and to his talmidim. But it was taught to him by Rabbi Akiva in person, and then it was taught to him and reviewed with him by Eliyahu Hanavi all of the years that he was in the cave, and also by different Tanaim who used to come to him, different teachers who would come to him in the when he was in the cave and explain and talk about what's this entire mystery called Sefer Zohar. Now, one of the biggest mysteries in the Zohar, which I'm going to reveal to you right now, and it's something that the Baal Shem Tov reviewed and reviewed and reviewed over and over again, is that just like a human body is made up of trillions of cells, and each cell has its particular function, and the cells are different from each other. A brain cell looks different than a cheek cell, which looks different than a toenail cell. They all have a structure, a similar structure, but they have a different function and a difference they have a primary structure the same. They all have a nucleus, they all have a cell membrane, but the primary structure is the same, but the external structure is different. And they all have different jobs. And even within the heart, you have all the heart cells, cardiac cells, but each of those cardiac cells has a different function within the heart. So too, and that's within every one of us. Every one of us has this. And if you want to become, if you're, let's say, for example, you're tired and you can't learn and you can't daven, so read a book on, or listen to a YouTube or a TED talk on biology, and see the incredible complexity of the body, and understand that that's God talking to you and telling you, number one, how great He is. Number two, the Jewish people are considered one body. We're considered one body made up of all the different souls. Each soul has the following: the same basic structure, which we all share, which is why we cannot have superiority one person to the other, but also different functions and different externalities. We all look different and we think different. We look differently, we think differently. Even identical twins are different. So we have this same idea that within the Koma, within Knesset Yisrael, within the Jewish people, we are all cells, and everyone has a commonality and a differentiation. The differentiation is our responsibility to do our job in this world. The commonality is the fact that we have to look at each other and love each other. Everybody knows the following. If you're lucky enough to love somebody, let's say, for example, you have a pure love for another human being, then you really love, or you try to love, all the people that are related to that human being. Let's say you have a couple. I know a couple like this. They are in a second marriage. He was a widow and she was divorced. And she had 5 kids and he had 5 kids. And she wanted to make her life work, and she married him. And she just made herself love all of his children. Now, they were young when their mother died, but they remember her. And she's a friend of mine. Her project in life was, I'm going to love these children. I'm going to love them because I want to love my husband, and I want to be a pure love. So she loved them because she loved him. And the truth is, this is already 30 years ago, this story, and she married them all off, and she's Bubby to all of the grandchildren, and almost great-grandchildren. So a person who really loves somebody, that's how you can tell if your love is pure or if your love is selfish. Because there's such a thing as selfish love. I love you because you make me feel good. I love you because you make me feel loved and wanted and special, whatever. That's a selfish love. But I love you for you. I don't even know why I love you. Sometimes you're annoying, sometimes you're disappointing, but I still love you. That's a pure love. And if a person has a pure love, then they love the person's relatives and family. They just do. And so we're supposed to have that mentality when it comes to Hashem. We say all day long, Hashem, I love you, I love you, I love you. We send them kisses, I love you. But if I really love you, I'm going to love your kids. Even though they're annoying and they're sometimes frustrating and they're sometimes whatever, if I really love you, that's how I can measure my love. So now everybody's going to give themselves a numerical grade on how much you love Hashem. How much you love Hashem is measured by how much you love Jews. Do you love Jews, just Jews? It doesn't matter if they're annoying, if they're hard, if they're difficult, if they're disappointing, if they're mean to you, but you love them anyway? then you love Hashem. And that's the percentage. Everybody has a different percentage of how much they love Hashem. It's a sobering thought. We keep thinking we love you, Hashem. We thank you, Hashem. If I'm thanking you and if I'm loving you, I have to be nice to your kids. Okay. So Rabbi Akiva was the one who wrote the Torah, who wrote the Kabbalah, and he gave it to Rabbi Shimon to code it, to make it into code. Rabbi Shimon was in the cave and he was tortured for many, many years, as you know. He didn't need to eat. He didn't need to drink. He subsided on the minimum, just like Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu was 120 days, 40 days times 3 in Shemayim. He didn't eat, didn't drink anything. Didn't eat, didn't drink, didn't sleep. He became an angel. Moshe Rabbeinu became an angel. It says in Tehillim, Tefillah Adav in the Moshe Ish HaElokim. It's chapter 90, which we learned together, I think. It's a prayer by Moshe, who was a man, and he was a godly man. It means he was like an angel, because he left his body. He was able to, whatever, we can't even imagine what that is, but he wasn't dead, and he wasn't meditating on a mountain and slowing down his heart, consciously. He didn't do any of that stuff. Whatever he did, he didn't eat, he didn't sleep. Shimon Bar Yochai ate charuvim, carobs, and he drank water for 12 years. That's all he had. And he didn't have clothing, and his body deteriorated. Moshe Rabbeinu's body did not deteriorate. But Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai's body deteriorated. He was full of welts and full of bruises, and his skin was a mess when he came out of the cave. He was probably scary looking. But Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai accepted every single Jew. He was taught by Hashem to accept every single Jew. And he, in his lifetime, was able to accomplish spiritually almost the fixing of the whole world. Almost. He almost fixed the whole world. He said to his son, Rebbe Elazar, he said, me and you can fix the whole world, and even I just could fix the whole world. To the point where when it came time for him to leave the cave, Eliyahu Navi was sent to tell him to leave the cave. And Eliyahu Navi didn't want to disturb his learning. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai was finally free. He was finally able to come out of the torture of the cave and to heal himself. And we'll talk in a second, he went straight to Tiberia. And Eliyahu Navi came to the cave and he hears the learning with his son, and he hears what they're learning in a voice that was heavenly, that was unrecognizable. And he said, I don't want to bother him. He's fixing the whole world. He's fixing the Chet of Adam HaRishon. What should I do? Eliyahu Navi said to himself. So Eliyahu Navi decided that he's going to just walk by the cave and shout out at the top of his lungs, the people, Rabbi Shimon, the people who want you dead are dead. And that Rabbi Shimon should just hear it, derech hagav. He's not going to enter the cave and interrupt his learning. He's going to just say to him like this. He said, all those people who want you dead are dead. Parenthetically, because Eliyahu Hanavi was the one to give that besorah, so I'll tell you a teaching. All of the things I'm teaching to you now are based on things I heard from the Rabbi Yanuka. Not that this is his Torah. It's all, probably messed up and mixed up, but based on his teachings. But he explains that there's 3 ways that Eliyahu Navi appears to people. So if anybody thinks that they ever heard Eliyahu Navi, so I'll tell you I'll give you the 3 ways he appears, and you'll tell me if you ever had such an experience. The highest way he appears is when he appears as he really was in the physical world, in a body, the way he actually looked, and he was wearing a long cloak, and was wearing a very thick leather belt. And that is how he appears to the tzaddikim in his original physical form. The second way he appears is like a shlepper, like a regular person who just happens to say something. It could be the guy delivering the newspaper. It could be the milkman. It could be the guy driving the bus, that Eliyahu Navi quickly zooms into him and he says something special to you that was specially meant for you to hear. That's another way Eliyahu Navi appears. And the third way is he appears in your mind. That's a harder way. That's very hard to discern if that's Eliyahu Navi or if that's your imagination. Eliyahu Navi appears in your minds and he puts ideas into your mind. And he was the one, so he appeared in the second way to Rebbe Lazar, even though he was, and to Rabbi Shimon, even though he was always with him. But he didn't want to bother him at that particular time. And so he just, like with Hesach Hadad, he appeared to him. Okay. If anybody ever met a big tzaddik, there's different levels of tzaddikim. The Yanuka says that the difference between tzaddikim, there's so many differences in levels of tzaddikim that it's like the difference between a Jew and a non-Jew. That's how much of a distance there is between different tzaddikim. And how do you measure? We can't measure anything. We're just regular people. But how is that measured? It's measured in their consciousness of God, in their understanding of what God is. It's in their own mind. That's the level of tzaddik that they are. Meaning, some people reach a very high, some tzaddikim on Yom Kippur, Mincha, they're on a very high level. And some tzaddikim are on that same exact level on a Thursday afternoon, Mincha and Shul. It's the same level. That's the levels within that tzaddikim can go through. And so sometimes you meet tzaddikim and, they're very austere and serious and all they're learning and you can't really relate to them and you're afraid of them. And then you meet other tzaddikim and these tzaddikim that I just described to you appear to be like and they wear like a fancy outfit and you think they're really amazing tzaddikim. And then you meet other tzaddikim who is just so easy to get along with. And they're so easy to talk to. And you think, this is like a lower level tzaddik. And it's exactly the opposite. What do we learn about from Rabbi Shimon? Rabbi Shimon, we learn about him, not just Kabbalah and not just how Hashem is running the universe, but we learn about him, midot tovot, good character traits. That's what we learn from Rabbi Shimon. And he tells us all of his main teachings are about good character traits. One sec. One sec. Sorry. Okay, so one of the things that I told the ladies yesterday, and I'm going to say it to you today, is the following. I just mentioned to you that Rabbi Shimon, when he came out of the cave, he was all full of sores and swelling, and he really didn't, his body his body was suffering from that experience. And they took him right away to Tveria, because remember, he was in Meron, in that area over there in the north someplace. We don't exactly know which cave he was in. Where we go to now is probably not the place that he was in Meron, but he went out to Tveria, and he bathed in the Chamei Tveria. Was anybody ever in Chamei Tveria? Chamei Tveria is right on the main road when you're coming into Tveria, right near Reb Meir Balanese, is Chamei. They're special natural hot springs, mineral springs, and they're very, very healing. People do that just like the Dead Sea. It's the same because it's the same spring that's running underground from all the way in the south of the Dead Sea, all the way to the north in Tveria. So that's very healing. Those waters very healing. The water of Tveria, very, very healing, very mystical, all connected to this mikveh of the Ariya Kadosh and Tzfat, and all of these waters, the underground waters are very, very, the Mayanot in the north, they're very holy, very mystical, very, very otherworldly. Anyway, he went to the Chamei Tveria, and the waters healed him. So he decided, I have to pay back, I have to give back, say thank you to Tveria. How do you say thank you to a whole city? Nowadays, if you ask someone, how do I say thank you to a city? The mayor will say, you donate us $10 million, we'll make a park in your name, or something like that. How did he thank Tveria? He said like this, the tzaddikim of Tveria said he asked them, what's happening here in Tveria? After all, he was absent the whole time. They said, we cannot have Kohanim here. Kohanim can't come because there's a lot of tamei mates, there's a lot of dead bodies, and we don't know where they're buried because there was all kinds of mix-ups. We don't know where the cemeteries are here. We don't know where people are buried. There are people buried on the road. There were all kinds of things that were happening, the Roman army, and we can't, it was, after the time of the destruction of the Beis Hamikdash, but still people were makpid on tahara, purity. Certainly the Kohanim were makpid. And so if you could figure out a way to litaher et ha'ir Tiveria, to purify from the tumat made from the impurity of dead bodies, the city of Tiveria. So Rabbi Shimon said, sure, and he walked up and down every street in Tiveria, and any time that there was a dead body that was buried someplace in the area, it would rise to the surface. And they would either collect the body and rebury it someplace else, or if that wasn't possible, they would it would bury itself back, and he would make a marker there, so everyone knew where people were buried. And everybody knows, if you ever drive up north, you see along the main roads here all the different kvarim with different tanaim, different amoraim. And there was one kuti, there was one heretic, a non-Jewish heretic, who wanted to show everyone that Rabbi Shimon was a faker, chas v'shalom. And so he went into a place where Rabbi Shimon had already said it's clean of dead bodies, and he himself took a dead body and he buried it in a place where Rabbi Shimon said it's already clean. And then he called everybody there and he said, look, everybody, you see, Rabbi Shimon said this place is clean, and look, and he started digging up what he had just buried, and he said, see, there's a dead body here. Rabbi Shimon said, that's how you act towards a person who's doing what I'm doing? And that's how you're trying to undermine belief in the tzaddik. What happened? He who is in the ground should stand up, and he who's standing up should go in the ground. And that guy died, the guy who was trying to undermine Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, he died, and the guy who was dead, who was actually dead, he came back to life again. Just to show the power of tzaddikim. It's very, very, very important for us to have emunat tzaddikim, to have trust in the halachic authority of the rabbinical world, that is the true rabbinical world, that has been saving us and keeping us, on the path of Torah since the very beginning of time. And I always tell people that I find it very amusing and it's happily amusing to me, because there's a section, I don't know if they're even Jews anymore. They used to be Jews, and they're called Reform and Conservative and Reconstructionist. Conservative, I don't think they so much intermarried. Reform and Reconstructionists had no problem intermarrying, and there's no Judaism by them anymore because no one knows who's what. But the interest, and they reject the written Torah, part of the written Torah, they reject the oral Torah, the complete oral Torah, or they pick parts of it that they consider culturally acceptable, whatever. But I think it's wonderful that they all keep Pesach the same day that we keep Pesach, and they all keep Rosh Hashanah the same day we all keep Rosh Hashanah, which means the calendar that we have right now is rabbinic, means the rabbis settled on the calendar that we have right now. It used to be in times of temple, in the times of the temple, that we would make every single month, we would declare Rosh Chodesh based on, people would see the new moon. They knew exactly what it looked like. They had to run to Yerushalayim. Well, they actually were staying in Yerushalayim, and they had to testify to the Sanhedrin what they had seen and where in the sky they saw it and what exactly time it was. Now, the Sanhedrin had that list. They knew exactly for every single month, exactly where in the sky the moon would appear, and exactly what it would look like, and exactly what moment it would be. And the witnesses would come, they would say that they found it, and they would say that they saw that. And then the Rosh Chodesh would be declared, and then the whole month would follow. In other words, the holidays that were based on the dates of the month would follow based on the Rosh Chodesh that was announced by the Sanhedrin in the Beis Hamikdash in temple times. In the times of the end of the temple times, Chazal understood that we were going into exile. We wouldn't have the system anymore, and they revealed the calendar that Moshe Rabbeinu had revealed to them back, that had come down through tradition, and they revealed it and they put it together, and that's all coming from Torah Shebaal Peh, and that's the calendar that all Jews use on the planet, and that's the only calendar that exists, and that's why the Reform and Conservative and Reconstructionists and any other group of Jews that want to have a title to them other than Orthodox, they're using the same calendar. So Mamela, by in and of itself, they're accepting part of all the holidays or their affiliation with rabbinical authority. So that's a good thing for them. Okay, so Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai taught us to be grateful. Simple. He's the greatest Kabbalist in the world. He was a student of Mashiach. He was Moshe Rabbeinu's soul. And he teaches us the simple lesson of Hakarat Hatov. Be grateful. Be grateful for anything that ever, for anyone ever, anything that anyone ever did to you. Anyone that ever did you a favor, you have to be grateful to them. And maybe even your whole life, you have to be grateful to them. So that's the first me. And everyone has their own stories about Hakarat Hatov and how we have to show Hakarat Hatov. We have to show gratitude. Rabbi Shimon's day is called Hod Shebahod. That's tonight and tomorrow. Today is Netzach Shebahod. It's a very, very important day. These days of Netzach and Hod, all these weeks, these days, last week and this week, the Sephira week, if you had intuition, you should talk to somebody about it because it's very, these days, especially last night and tonight, strong days of intuition because Netzach and Hod are very connected to, on a certain level connected to prophecy, connected to intuition, etc., etc. So Hod Shebahod, tonight and tomorrow, is the Hod of Hod. That means the ultimate gratitude, being grateful for even being grateful. Do you know how some people, tonight and tomorrow is all about being grateful that I know how to be grateful, or being grateful that I at least want to be grateful, and being humble that at least I want to be humble, even if we're not there yet. At least I want to be grateful. If you walk on the street in Chelsea, is Chelsea a place in London? I just made that up. Yeah, and it just popped into my head. If you walk into a place in New York City, if you walk into a place in California, and you ask a random person on the street, do you have a goal in life to be humble? I don't think anybody would answer yes. The goals in life in the secular world are, as we all know, what they are. You know, happiness, money, power, independence, health, all the regular things. We all like that stuff. Now, I'm not saying we don't like that. We like that. But to have a goal to be humble, my goal in life is to be humble. My goal in life is to be truly grateful for all the kindnesses that people do to me, and certainly the kindness that Hashem does to me. That's Hod Shebahod. That's the day that Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai was born. It's his birthday. Chai, it's the 18th day of the month of Iyar. It's the most healing day of the month of Iyar. It's the most active day of the month of Iyar. Iyar itself is a healing month. Iyar itself is a healing month. And twice in Iyar, Hashem did a favor to us. He was here in Yerushalayim HaKodesh, and he made it sprinkle. It was a little bit sprinkling water, a little bit rainy. A couple of 2 weeks ago, and then yesterday, and everybody knows that water, rain is healing. I imagine it's also in the UK healing. So if you're getting rains on, I guess it's also healing. But certainly Eretz Yisrael Dika is rain from any time from Pesach until Shavuos is very, very healing. And so Hod Shebahod, the day of 18th day of the month of Iyar, Chai, 18th is Chai day of the month of Iyar, and Lag, 33 days in the Omer tonight and tomorrow. It's a day to say thank you. Now, I'm going to learn something with you about the Mizurah, about the fires. I don't want to forget this. And I sent it around on my status, on my WhatsApp status. For those of you who are not on my WhatsApp group, please send me your email or your WhatsApp or your whatever, how you call it. Get on my WhatsApp groups because then you can see statuses. Now I'm sending them Bali Neder every day, statuses, all kinds of good statuses on the holy things that are happening here in the Holy Land. So why do we light a bonfire tonight? So you're going to say it's a big yahrzeit candle. Yeah, it's a big yahrzeit candle. Why don't we light a yahrzeit candle, a big yahrzeit candle for Moshe Rabbeinu, Gimel, Zayin Adar? Why don't we light a big yahrzeit candle for Aaron HaKohen, Aleph, Menachemav? Why don't we light a big yahrzeit candle for Rochel Imenu, Yud Aleph, Mar Cheshvan? We know so many yahrzeits. We know. How come we don't light up these big giant bonfires for everybody else? Why do we just do it for Rebbe Shimon? Okay, so it's a very important lesson, and this is what you should say before you light your. Now we're going to just light a little yahrzeit candle at home, right? You light oil or you light a yahrzeit candle, whatever you're going to light in honor of Rabbi Shimon. Even if you go to a hadlaka, even if you go to a bonfire, to a light, to a lighting. I don't know if you have that in the UK or you have to send me
If anybody lives near us on in Golders Green at Hargers, they have a special light.
Yeah. Anyway, wherever you are, even if you go to a lighting, a special lighting when there's going to be music and dancing and singing and happy, even if you go, you should light in your own house tonight, Thursday night, and tomorrow, tonight or tomorrow if you forget tonight. You could light a candle. You could light some olive oil with a wick in it, like we light for Shabbos. You could light a yahrzeit candle, whatever you want to light. And this is what you're going to say. You're going to say, first of all, for the honor and the neshama of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, and his mother's name was Sarah. But you're going to say like this. You're going to say, I'm quoting, and this is what you're going to say. You can say in English. I'm going to quote the teaching of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. The reason we're lighting this light, this fire, is to say that Hashem is reminding us the teaching of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. It's better to jump into the fire than to embarrass someone in public. It's better to jump into a fire than to embarrass another Jew in public, or to air somebody, to make somebody suffer, or to hurt somebody. Okay, now we can't go through life without hurting people. It's just the way the world is. Our world is imperfect. Mashiach hadn't appeared yet, as of a second ago, to my knowledge. So it's hard not to hurt people in life. It's hard not to insult people, because we don't even know. Some people are so sensitive, we don't even realize that we're insulting them, and they're so sensitive to insults that you could say the slightest thing, and it's like, it hurts them, and they might not even tell you that it hurts them. But so we don't know. It's hard to go through life without hurting somebody. But to embarrass someone in public, a regular Jew in public, I'm not talking about an evil, known, pre-warned sinner who's doing things on purpose to go against God. We're not talking about such a Jew. We're talking about a regular Jew. Regular Jew, even not observant, it's forbidden to embarrass them in public. It's better to jump into the fire than to embarrass someone in public. That's what the Yanuka says is the only reason that we light the candle, that we light fire. Because every tzaddik, we should be making bonfires for their anniversary of their birth and the anniversary of their death. But Rabbi Shimon, he was the one who said it in the Talmud. 3 times they quote him as saying the same exact member, the same exact saying. It's better to jump into the fire than to embarrass another Jew in public. So that's what you say, and you're going to say, Hashem, please help me in the merit of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai and the merit of the candle that I'm lighting in his honor and his memory, and for his neshama. Please help me to be better in my dealings with people, to be bein adam l'chavero, to never embarrass anyone, to never hurt anyone, to never insult anyone. As best as I can, please help me from year to year to get better and better in this. And again, we can't be perfect till Mashiach comes. To embarrass somebody, it's easier to avoid embarrassing someone than to just hurt him, because hurting people we're not sensitive to, but embarrassing, we know it's embarrassing to people. Whatever would be embarrassing to you, even though, and I'm thinking about that, sometimes we embarrass kids and they're so embarrassed and we think like, what's the big deal? I just said, you're so cute, or I haven't seen you in such a long time, you're so tall, you got so big, and kids get embarrassed. I'm talking about really a really embarrassing moment. We can't embarrass people. That's what you're supposed to say when you light the candle. Somebody's not muted. Whoever's not muted, please mute yourself. I'm not going to embarrass you by telling you who you are. I can see on your thing. Send him a message, Rebbetzin. So that's what we say when we light the candle tonight, to ask Hashem to help us, not to hurt anybody, and to follow in the ways of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. Now I'm going to tell you something else that the Rav said that is very, very important to know, and it's going to bring you an incredible merit. There's some people who like to light yahrzeit candles. They light all the time yahrzeit candles. My friend, the Rebbetzin, she should be a good debater for everybody. She should rest in peace and have a good Gan Eden with the Rebbe. She had in her house, she used to buy these like the tall 7-day candles, and she would write the name of the tzaddik on each candle, and she would light a candle for the big ones for all these different tzaddikim. She had, I don't know, 10 of them, 12 of them going all the time, at all times. And the Rav, he lights, I think they told me 27 every single day, but little ones, in shul, for all the different, whoever he lights for. And so, but there's another way of lighting a yahrzeit candle for tzaddikim. And this is more important and more effective. The Rav says, let's say you really appreciate Rashi. Rav Shlomo Yitzchak ben Yitzchak. Rashi, right? Let's say you really appreciate Rashi, that you've been learning Chumash with Rashi, which everybody should be doing, right? It's Chumash with Rashi, with the commentary of Rashi, the Parshas HaShavua, at least something, Chumash and Rashi. Women have to learn also. So let's say you really enjoy Rashi. And so guess what? Let's say you decide you're going to learn Rashi something, and you go into the room and you open the light. You open the light, the electrical light, and you sit down with a chumash, and you're reading Chumash and Rashi. So you know that that's as if you lit a yahrzeit candle for Rashi, even though it's electric. But the main thing by lighting a candle for the neshama of somebody is to learn the Torah of that person. When you light a yahrzeit candle for your father or your mother, let's say they didn't teach you Torah, or let's say they didn't write a book, but you can remember an activity, a mitzvah that they did, that they taught you. So if you light a candle without having some kind of a spiritual gift to the person that you're lighting, so it's really not so effective. But if you light a candle for a tzaddik, then either by the light of the candle, learn the sefer of that tzaddik. Now, of course, on Shabbos, it's a problem. You can't do that. But on Shabbos, we're not going to light candles for tzaddikim because it's Shabbos, you can't light fire. You can't make fire. But, and also on Shabbos, it's a problem to study right next to a fire, because all these halachas of what happens if the fire goes out, what happens if you, by accident, you forget, and you want to move the fire closer to you. And so, but that's the point. The point of lighting a yahrzeit candle for neshama isn't just to light the candle and the fire gives them pleasure. It's also to either remember a good deed that they did and verbalize it, and recommit to it, to recommit to the behavior, to the good behavior of that person, to recall a good activity, a good deed, a good way of being of that person. If you can't go to the grave, you can, of course, light a candle. But again, lighting candles has different dimensions. And the main way of lighting a candle is to give benefit to the soul of the person that you're lighting the candle for, is either to learn some Torah by the candle, even if it's Torah of somebody else. Somebody, please mute yourself. Either to learn Torah by the candle, like if the person wrote a sefer, right, and you learn the Torah, the sefer of the person by the candle, that's the person, that's great. If the person didn't write a sefer, didn't write a Torah book, and you read another Torah book, let's say you read Tehillim, by the light of that candle, then that's also great. And if you also, when you light the candle, you're also going to say a merit of the person that you're lighting for. You say, my father was so generous, he was very charitable. He loved peace. And I'm going to try to be more charitable and more generous and love peace, to imitate the teachings that my father taught me. That would be, and then you light the candle. That would be to the merit of the soul of your father. So you see, Rabbi Shimba Yochai, what's he talking about? He's talking about Hakarat Hatov, gratitude. He's talking about not insulting people, not embarrassing people. He's talking about midot. He's talking about character traits. Of course, Rabbi Shimba Yochai has revealed to us all the heavens and the heavenly spheres in the Kabbalah. But he's telling us, don't minimize. Don't think that you're so holy that you have to treat people in an undignified way. Don't think that you're superior to people. We're all cells, and we all in the same body of the Jewish people, even though we're separate cells, but we all have a commonality We all have that soul. And some of the people who have the darkest looking souls sometimes are the holiest of the holiest people. Rishim Bayochi also says like this. We learned this yesterday, but I'm just going to review it. None of us really learn Talmud. I mean, I don't think any of you learn Talmud, and I don't think anyone here learns Zohar. But maybe you've ever seen, or you've heard, that the Talmud, whenever the Talmud wants to begin a new topic, it'll say Tashma. Tashma means come and listen, come and hear what I'm about to tell you. And in the Zohar, when he wants to talk about a new topic or introduce a new idea, or he says Tachazi. Tachazi means come and see. Come and see what I'm about to tell you. Come and see. And so, which is more important, hearing or seeing? Everybody will have a different understanding of which is more important, which is more vital in this world. When we say Shema Yisrael, we don't say Re'eh Yisrael. We say Shema Yisrael. Listen, every Jew, because to listen means to deeply meditate on and to internalize. And to see means to see with your eyes, with your physical eyes. So Rabbi Shimon tells us like this, and this is a very big challenge in planet Earth in the year that we're in right now, really for the last I don't know how many years, is to keep the eyes clean. Shmirat ha'inayim. Now for ladies, it means like this. For men, it means not to look at anything that's forbidden to look at. For women, it means the same thing. You cannot look at magazines that are showing women who are not clothed. You cannot look at things like that. Even though you're a woman, you're not allowed to look at that. It will diminish your sensitivity to modesty. But also looking at other people's lifestyles, looking at other people's things and being jealous of them, using the eyes in an improper way. So if Shimon in his Zohar keeps saying, come and see, what he's inviting us to do is to be able to understand, but by keeping our eyes clean. That's why it says that tzaddikim, one of the expressions to describe a tzaddik is they see from one end of the world to the other. Why? Because their eyes are clean. And so there's no barriers between the physical world, because they don't look at anything that's inappropriate. Their eyes can see the entire physical world, because they never look at anything in the physical world that they shouldn't be looking at. And it says in the Shema every day, stop going after your heart. Stop going after your eyes. Stop looking at things you shouldn't be looking at, etc., etc. Everyone in their own world, everyone in their own life, and everyone has to talk to themselves, not me talking to you. It's you talking to you and me talking to me. Do you remember a long time ago, we made those beautiful bookmarks that I have? I have no more left. I have like my own personal ones of the psukim that the Rav said to say every single day, right? The 4 psukim that the Rav said to say, I think Marcel printed them up, and Rebbetzin arranged that whole thing. And Jim and Ginny and
Janice, you heard it.
And Janice, right? Of course you say them still. Everybody says them. You have to say them every single day, at least every single day. At least once a day. You have to look at the sky. You have to look at the sky and say the psukim, and it brings great salvation. So the Rav is always saying, the Yanuk is always saying, Einaim lashamayim, put your eyes up to the sky. Always look up. Don't look down. Look up, look up, look up. And, I was always thinking, like, of course, why looking in the sky? The sky is, heavenly. It reminds us of the things that are above the physicality, above limitations. The sky is almost unlimited in the way it looks. But today the Rav said something so beautiful that I want to share with you, because for me, it was a game changer. He said, the sky is Hashem's eyes. When you look at the sky, it's like looking into Hashem's eyes. To me, that was such a game changer. It made it so much more, whoa. Because, when you love somebody, you just want to look at them. You want to look at their eyes. You want to look deeply into someone's eyes. And sometimes when you're really, when you can't look at someone's eyes, it's because you're embarrassed or it's too much, there's too much power, whatever. But could you imagine if the sky is Hashem's eyes? Of course, Hashem doesn't have eyes. Hashem has no physicality whatsoever. But we use these, we're physical, and the only thing that our brain can understand is physicality, things that if I would tell you to go above time, we don't know what that means. Even if we'll say, oh, it means to go in a time traveling box and I'm going to go back to the year 1820, whatever. We don't really understand what it means to be above time and to be above space and to be above physicality. We don't understand what these things mean. We just use words that will convey an idea that will somehow give over the energy of the thought. So Hashem has no eyes. Please mute yourself. Whoever's unmuted. You can't mute her? Maybe so
Done.
mute yourself.
Done.
Okay, so now you also mute yourself. So because every time, every movement on an unmuted camera makes noise. Anyway, that's what we say. The sky is Hashem's eyes. That's why the Rav said it, to make it easier. Now you're going to ever stop looking at the sky. Now we're going to always look up at the sky, like if that's Hashem's eyes, right? First of all, it shows you how big Hashem is. Of course, again, we're just saying words that are just making sense to humans that are so limited. Our brain is so small and limited. But could you imagine the greatness of Hashem? If that's his eyes, go out to the beach, look at the huge horizon, and you see that there's even more that you can't see. And that's Hashem's eyes looking at you with love, looking at you with compassion, looking at you with understanding, acceptance. And Hashem has faith in us that we can do what we have to do. Hashem has faith in us that we can do what we have to do. Hashem has faith in us that we'll be able to do what we need to do. So look up at the sky and then say the psukim. Now it's a whole different experience, right? It's a whole different experience. And that's why you could look at the sky. Sometimes Hashem cries. When it's raining, sometimes Hashem cries. And even though rain is a blessed thing and it's a bracha, but sometimes Hashem, lightning and thunder in the sky, all kinds of things in the sky. Sometimes Hashem makes a beautiful rainbow in the sky. The rainbow, why is the rainbow so beautiful? Because even when Hashem does things that are din, that are judgments, he does it because he loves us. That's why he made the rainbow beautiful. The rainbow is a sign of destruction. The rainbow is a sign of, I almost destroyed the world. And the only reason I didn't destroy the world is because I made a pact with the world that I won't destroy it. That's what the rainbow means, right? By Noach, when Hashem made the rainbow by Noach, he said, this is a contract that I'm making with you, a commitment that I'm making with you, says Hashem, that I will never destroy the world. Okay, with water, completely. So it's a scary thing, that rainbow. So why is it so beautiful? And all the colors and, how it's so misty and you can't even touch it. It's just over there. And why is it beautiful? Because Hashem is saying to us, I'm beautiful and you're beautiful. And even sometimes when things have to be with judgment, it's only coming out of love. All right, my sweetie pies. So if you're in Yerushalayim, if you're in Eretz Yisrael, come to one of the hadlakot here. Bezrat Hashem. There's a lot of different hadlakot. There's one in Beit Shemesh. There's one here in Rebbetzin. There's one by Meron. Light your own little candle. Ask Hashem to help you in the merit of this big tzaddik. When Hashem sends tzaddikim into the world, he doesn't do it, for no reason. He does it because he wants each tzaddik to do their job and to elevate us even more. So every time there's a tzaddik in the world, we have to learn their Torah, their teachings, and try to internalize it. Okay, Rebbetzin Dov, hi. Hi, Jenny. Hi, Pauline. Hi, Judith Batya. Hi, Marcel. Hi, Emma. Hi, Nomi Tov. Hi, Chana. Hi, Shulamit. Hi, Shella. Hi, Dahlia. Oh, everybody's popping off. Don't pop off my screen. Hi, Katie. And hi, Mrs. Hi, Mrs. Milun. Sandra Milun. Who that is?
That's Candace.
Oh, that's
and
Candace.
she just made a wedding 2 weeks ago.
I always get it wrong. Hi, Liz. Hi, Devora. Hi, Rebecca. 1 second. It's okay. Don't go. I have to go on my other list. Who did I say hi to? Wait a second. Hi, Juliet Golda. And hi, Rosalind.
Juliet's
Hi,
birthday this week.
Sarla. What?
Will be Juliet's birthday this week. We'll wait for the brachas.
Oh, nice. Beautiful. Hi to everybody and hi to everybody on YouTube. Everybody should have a good Shabbos, a good Lag Bomer, a happy day.
And Chaim Aruchim.
Chaim Aruchim,
And also,
healthy.
can we just add the name of Salah Gaz? I don't know her father's name, but Salah was this beautiful pregnant woman who was just murdered. And her baby been born into the world. And yeah, it was the terror attack last night.
How do you know her? You know her?
Don't know, but I do now.
Yeah, I know. So, till Mashiach comes. Okay, let me read all the chats because I can't read them when I'm teaching. When I'm talking, and they all disappear. What? Okay. L'chaim to your parents' wedding anniversary, Rebecca Tarlo. L'chaim, Mazel Tov. Okay, I can't do that because I can't write this down. So
I'll send you the numbers of who wants to be added.
Okay,
I've already added them all. I'll add you as well, Emma.
Oh, you're so good.
Emma and Liz. Have you got Liz Kleinman's number?
Yeah, I just copied it.
Okay,
thank you. And Lily says Lily and Katie and all these things on the chat. Okay, Shulamit, you have a whole bunch of work to do there. Okay, sweetie pies. Have a good Shabbos.
Thank you. Good Shabbos. And for anybody who would like to join us tonight, 8 p.m., we have Rebbetzin Gottlieb. And yeah, and we look forward to seeing everybody.
Okay.
Okay.
Bye, everybody.
Make a beautiful day.
Good Shabbos.
And thank you for giving us Netzach. Thank you for giving us Hod. And thank you for teaching us.
You're welcome. I can't find you how to turn you off. It's so funny. I hear
It's
you.
okay. I'll turn you all off.
Mazel tov, Juliet.
Okay. Lots of love, everybody.
Mazel tov to Juliet. Happy birthday. Thank you so much.
Oh, happy
Thank
birthday.
you,
Happy
Rebbetzin.
birthday.
It was amazing.
Thank you, sweetie pie. Okay, you turn it off because I can't find it.